Okay, so I wanted to talk about a conversation that I had with an older friend of mine here at the library at CMU. His name's Thomas. I spend all these hours at the CMU library in the Word, studying, writing, and doing all that, of course. And I've been doing that for almost 2 years here now. So there's certain people that they'll come in the morning, study, and then go to class or go eat, do all these things. And then when they come back in the evening, I'm still there. And so there's been a few of those people who have come and sat across from me. And in a way, we've built like quite the little friendship doing that. And quite a few of them actually. A lot of the men in my Bible study that has been going on for about 1.5 years now are people like that, how I met just that way, very organically. So Thomas and I met maybe 4 months ago that way, and he's in his 50s, and for a good 6 months prior to that, he would walk by and see me, and then slowly he started waving, and then finally he just, up one day, I was in the Word about this close to it, and then a shadow befalls, and it was Thomas. It took me a month for us to actually give each other our names, that kind of thing, but he just sits down, and I can tell that he has, for years now, been kind of alone. He's unmarried, doesn't have kids, and has kind of moved around. He's got some things that he's dealing with kind of mentally, emotionally, physically, all that kind of stuff, of course, as we all do. But I can tell that he just has years of stuff to like unload. And so for a good month, that was just what it was. And that's hard for me, because anybody who knows me knows I like to talk too, but I let him unload about all sorts of stuff that I don't know anything about, politics, economics, that kind of stuff. Recently, it's gotten a little deeper. And yesterday, several times now, he works the night shift at the VA as a janitor, and there's a woman there that really gives him a hard time. She, from his own words, she doesn't do like hardly any of her job, which kind of dumps more onto his lap. He kind of has to pick up all the slack, and it has progressively apparently been getting worse in the last month, so bad to where that's one of the main things he wants to talk about when we talk. So he finally sat down last night and immediately went into this kind of issue he has with this woman, and I can tell it kind of segued into this overall issue that he has with women having authority over him. And so there's a lot there. And so one of the questions that I asked him was that when she's not doing her work, and like kind of dumping more onto him, do you think she notices that she's doing that? And he said, definitely, for sure, 100%. He even went as far as to say he suspects that that's actually a big reason she does it. Because they also nag, they kind of fight. She gives him a really hard time, basically from his confession, as much as she can in any way she can. And so he believes that it's kind of a passive-aggressive dig at him, making him do more than he's supposed to at work. And then he said he's tried everything. He's argued back with her, he's pointed it out, he's gone to the supervisor, he's tried to report her, he's done everything he possibly can. And he's at his wits' end. Nobody's going to take responsibility over it, as he says, and he just has to deal with it. And so after I asked him, do you think she notices? And he said yes. I asked him why he thinks that she does that. And his answer was that she's quite unattractive, she's overweight, she's kind of older. And so he thinks that perhaps this has just kind of an overall issue with her own life. And I also said to him, I've had very similar circumstances. Generally it was with men in workplaces where there's just nothing that anybody would do about it. Even if and often I wasn't the type to try to get the supervisors or the higher ups to do anything about it. Unfortunately, I handled it in even worse ways. I tried to take matters into my own hands, and I've gotten physical with guys, and that, it's almost like, and I said to him, it's almost like sometimes the universe is just fully against you in this. And that like, even when you try to take the proper routes to get it handled, it doesn't get handled. And it just keeps getting worse. And it's almost like some kind of intentionality is in the air about it. Like this world's out to get me right now, and it's gonna make me deal with this. And so after I asked him if she thinks she notices, he said yes. And I asked him why, and he said that overall he thinks that she's quite unhappy. He said something interesting. He said, it's like everywhere she goes, she's forcing the world to confront her. Or she's confronting the world and forcing it to like look at her and deal with her. And it's like, and he said that I think I'm just her favorite victim in that, because I'm there all the time. I'm overnight with her, I have to be there. And I asked him why he thinks that is. And he's like, I don't know, it's just, other than what I told you, I don't know. And I looked at him for a second and I said, Brother Thomas, I think she doesn't feel seen. And likely, she hasn't felt seen in quite some time. It's like some people get into a rut of loneliness and then they can't get themselves out of it, and then they become angrier and angrier, which makes people get further and further from them. And most people don't know how to get out of that, you know, and some people handle it very poorly. You know, this is the pit of the spree shooter, right? The spiral down. And that, he looked at me for a long time after I said that. And I said, does it seem like she's almost trying to make the world pay for her life, for how it is, for how lonely she is? And he's like, definitely. I was like, if you think about it, in a way, she has a point. Like, the world shouldn't really be that way. Like, when somebody's descending and falling into a pit of loneliness, like, there is a certain responsibility that perhaps the world should be taken for that. Like, maybe we shouldn't let people fall through the cracks like that. And maybe she's not handling it great, but I mean, maybe she has a point too. And what do you do when you're there? By the time you're there and you don't know how to get out and you're out of solutions, maybe she's tried other things. Maybe she just doesn't know what else to do. And so it's like a person who turns to drinking or something. And when I said that, he kind of looked at me because that's kind of his way, is drinking. And I said, I've actually come to the conclusion that what the purpose and a function and the place of a man in this life is to take responsibility of the people around them, but more than just their physical needs, which is important, but their emotional needs too. You know, perhaps like a man's position in this world is to keep the people from around him from falling through the cracks, from catching them, from, you know, and it's just like, you know, most people, they see her meanness and her grumpiness and her force, and they just get away. Nobody wants to take responsibility of this woman. And it's like, but what if somebody were to try to look around that, or try to look through that and see her heart and make an internal decision in themselves what she needs, which is to be seen, to be validated, her existence to be noticed, for her to be appreciated, for somebody to take some interest in her, maybe not just not romantically, just some interest. Make her feel like she's here, not just like some ethereal thing floating around and clocking in and that's all you're good for. So many people feel like that. So it's like, what if there were more people like that in the world? Who instead of reacting to what people did to them and against them, tried to take responsibility for them. And was able to just kind of take it on the chin when that person's mean to them and get to the core of it. Try to do something about it. It doesn't mean you're even going to be successful. Some people are not going to let you help them, but some people will. I think actually more people will if they can tell it's genuine. And I told him it was like, if you're out of options with a person like this, there's no way around it, and it seems like the universe is trying to tell you something here. Perhaps it is. Perhaps there's something different that you could do that you wouldn't normally want to do. But it's like, this kind of segued into his issue with women having authority over him and in society in general, and whether a person has an issue with that or not, it depends on the person. But what I told him is that in a world full of men, and in a society full of men who are like that, who take responsibility of the people around them in that way that is very leader-like, I said that in my experience, and this isn't true for everybody, and it shouldn't be pushed, it shouldn't be required, of course, but I told him, in my experience, when a man is like that in a room, not only do women naturally want to follow that man, but so do other men, for the most part. It's just a leadership quality in general that, in my opinion, it's a nurturing aspect, which is very womanly, but at the same time, it's an authoritative nurturing. It's just like, I'm going to take what you just hit me with and I'm going to do this anyways. It's gritty. It's tough. It's like, it's a man's thing to do. It's the type of thing that Christ did. Absolutely. That is the image of a man that Jesus Christ set before us. It's a man takes care of the world even if it hates him, like Martin Luther King. A gritty, strong, tough man who wants to take responsibility for the world around him. He can take these shots, and he can stand on what he believes in no matter what. He can love a country and have a dream even when that country hates him for something so superficial. That's the image of a man that Jesus Christ puts out. And so apparently they have had one good conversation together in the time they've worked together. And it was, they both like movies. He's really into movies. She's really into movies. He talks a lot about movies when he's talking with me. And so last night, I said, just give it a shot. Ask her what her favorite movie is.